Hey, what's up guys? So I've been trying to wrap my head around how I can explain throws and takedowns or clinch fighting in kata. So I'll just show a few movements and then I'm going to cut to some sambo clips that I found and I'm going to splice that with some kata. Generally speaking, if I do rotations, right? Let's say my arm goes from high to low. You'll see that motion a lot. Imagine like you're grabbing somebody, you're pulling them down. You notice how my body weight kind of shifts to the side as well. If my foot comes up or my knee raises, right? Think of that as a trip. If I bring it up and forcefully put it back down, that could be a trip where you're stepping behind somebody. If my hands go from low to high and I do a twisting motion. This happens a lot in judo and other grappling arts because you're trying to pull your opponent's center off balance. So you're trying to get their head above their feet, so you're pulling them this way. So you'll see that in like elbow type of motions in kata. Usually if I bring my hands together, it reminds me of like a bear hug or some type of hug or grabbing onto a single leg. Especially if you bring your hands together and then you lift your one leg at the same time. If I imagine if this thing was heavy, right? I would pick it up and then reinforce that pick with my knee. Imagine doing that to somebody else where you have to bring your hands together and then bring your knee up as well. Anytime you do a big step here and your hands go towards that direction, right? Imagine you're stepping behind somebody and throwing them over. Or your hands are coming together like this and you're doing this type of motion. You see that a lot in Naihanchi. Naihanchi, Pinan, or Heian Sandan. It reminds me a lot of a hip toss because your hip is going there, your arm is wrapping around something. It could be from the front, from the back, doesn't really matter, but you see all these like universal movements of combat and you see it trickle down into like a formalized pattern or kata or teaching method, right? So they're all trying to figure out different ways to, this could be a single leg, different ways to transmit information and pass it down in a solo drill, right? So all these motions, even if I go here to here, you see this in a salute in a lot of katas. Imagine you're grabbing behind someone's head, pushing them down to the mat, right? Even movements like this where I'm going side to side. I think a lot about overhooks and underhooks in wrestling where my arm's around their arm and I'm dragging their upper body that way, right? And of course there's strikes involved in everything. Not everything in karate is grappling related. It's a grappling art with strikes involved in the clinch, right? So I think about this motion and I throw a strike or I throw my knee afterwards. I do a head and arm throw. And now I can throw my strikes afterwards, right? And you'll see that in kata all the time, where there's a rotation, there's a lift of the foot, and then strikes following afterwards. Or it strikes leading into that, right? If I go here and then I turn, I go nukite and turn, like you see in the pinans. That could be driving for an underhook, or it can be a punch to soften the guy up and get them to hunch over, and then you turn and take them to the mat. So those are all like rules of thumb that I see. Everywhere I look in a kata, when I see a rotation, when I see my hands go from high to low, this is Gojishino, I see a grab or something that kind of throws them down, or I see a foot sweep or a trip. I see a lift where I'm trying to hold them and pull them up. So have that open mindset, keep that in mind, and I'll just cut to some applications so you guys can kind of connect that and connect those dots and make that bridge.